My mom whispered, "You're not welcome." So I shut off their power and walked away forever. "You're not welcome this Easter," my mom whispered as she cracked the front door open, barely enough to show her face. Not a hug, not a smile, not even a fake, "Hey honey, happy Easter." Just those four sharp words, slicing through the air like frost. I stood there on the porch with a bottle of Merlot in one hand and a wicker basket of handmade chocolate eggs in the other. Eggs I'd stayed up the night before decorating. I even wore that light blue shirt she used to compliment. The one she always said made my eyes pop. She used to say that with love. Pride even. Now, she wouldn't even look me in the eye. "What?" I blinked, trying to make sense of it. "You're joking, right?" She glanced over her shoulder and then stepped halfway outside, quietly nudging the door nearly shut behind her like I was some kind of stranger. No, worse. A threat. "It's better if you didn't come in today," she whispered, voice trembling. The world around me stilled. "I just driven 3 hours for this." "I know," she added, barely audible, "but things are tense. And Marissa said she wouldn't come if you were here." Of course. Marissa. My sister always knew how to twist things to her advantage. Always had. From inside, I heard muffled laughter, the familiar clink of wine glasses and someone, probably Uncle Dave, chuckling to real family being together. Then her voice rang out, Marissa's. Sweet, syrupy, and sharp as glass. "Honestly, this year feels so peaceful. No drama. No negativity." I wanted to scream. I didn't. Instead, I smiled. Calm, quiet, the kind of smile that says you just made the biggest mistake of your life. "You know what?" I said, pulling out my phone. "Fine. Enjoy your little peaceful Easter. But don't expect another penny from me." "What?" Mom blinked, startled. "What money?" I held her gaze. "The $9,800 I've sent this year alone. For your electricity, your water, your internet. All in my name. And guess what? I just shut them off." I showed her my phone. "See this app?" One tap. I pressed my thumb to the screen. From inside the house, Marissa screamed. "Why did the Wi-Fi just cut off?" Mom lunged forward. "You didn't." I stepped back. "Happy Easter." I turned and walked to my car. No one followed. No one apologized. As I started the engine, I saw Marissa rush to the doorway, red-faced, waving her phone like a torch. "Are you insane? We were about to have lunch." I rolled the window down just enough. "Call your real family. Maybe they can pay the bills next month." And then I drove away. No guilt. No second thoughts. The family utility company, that drive home. It was the first time in years I didn't feel like I was racing toward another emergency. I wasn't checking my phone. I wasn't dreading the next, "Hey, could you just text?" I was free. Finally. For a long time, I convinced myself that helping them made me the strong one, the responsible one. I told myself that's what family meant, sacrifice. Like the time my dad called me right in the middle of a big work presentation. I stepped out of the boardroom, heart pounding. "Power's getting shut off," he said, flat as ever. Again, I whispered, glancing around the hallway, embarrassed. "Just for a couple days. If you could cover it, I'll pay you back by Friday." He never paid me back. Not that week. Not ever. But I paid anyway. Like always. When Dad lost his job 3 years ago, I stepped up without hesitation, covered the utility bills without complaint. When Mom needed a cosmetic dental procedure, nothing urgent, just something that made her feel insecure, I paid for that too. And Marissa? Oh, Marissa. She couldn't afford to renew her car lease. So guess who co-signed her new one and paid the first 6 months up front? You already know. At first it felt good, like I was doing something important. Like they respected me. I was the reliable one, the one they could count on. But admiration slowly turned into assumption, then into expectation. And before I knew it, entitlement. "You're so lucky you don't have kids," Marissa said once over dinner, swirling wine in her glass like she owned the world. "All your money is just yours. Must be nice." "You mean the same money I use to pay your bills?" I replied, trying to laugh it off. "Oh, please," she rolled her eyes. "Don't act like it's charity. You like feeling superior." Mom jumped in. "She didn't mean it like that." "No," Marissa smirked. "I meant exactly that. I should have walked away right then. But I didn't. Because that's what I was raised to do, Stay quiet. Be useful." So I paid another bill. Then another. Then another. Water, $83 a month. Electricity, $210. Internet, $89. Streaming platforms. Phone plans. Random Amazon packages that showed up on their doorstep with my name on the receipt. I stopped counting. Until one night, I opened my banking app, did the math, and felt my stomach turn. $9,800. That's how much I had poured into their lives over the past 12 months. And yet, to them, I was still the bitter, selfish brother who never smiled in photos. And the worst part? I wasn't even surprised anymore. The conversation I wasn't meant to hear, a few weeks before Easter, something happened, something I wasn't supposed to witness. I had stopped by the house unannounced, just to drop off groceries. No grand gesture, just some fresh fruit, a few things I knew they liked. Old habits die hard, I guess. As I walked up the steps, I heard them before I even touched the doorknob. laughing in the kitchen, voices bouncing off the walls I helped keep warm. He's so uptight lately. Marissa's voice rang out, clear as glass. You'd think paying a few bills made him king of the world, Mom added with a snort. Then Dad chimed in, like it was all just a comedy routine. He probably just gets lonely. All that money and no one to spend it on. Marissa giggled. At least he's good for something. I'd cry if I had to pay my own internet. Laughter. Not nervous laughter. Not the kind that sneaks out when someone says something awkward. No, this was genuine. They meant every word. And there I stood, frozen on the porch. Grocery bags in hand like some delivery guy who showed up to the wrong house. I didn't ring the bell. I didn't knock. I turned around, got in my car, and left. Later that night, I logged into my account and canceled the auto pay for their Netflix and Disney Plus. A tiny flicker of rebellion. A digital whisper of enough. The next day, Marissa texted me. Did the Wi-Fi glitch or did you forget to pay again? I didn't reply. But the final straw, that moment where the line between family and freeloader shattered, came 2 months ago. I logged into my bank account just to move some money around. Nothing unusual. Until I saw it. Multiple Apple Pay charges I didn't recognize. A new MacBook. A wellness retreat. Monthly subscriptions. Designer clothing. All billed to a credit card I had given my mom years ago for emergencies only. Emergencies. I called her instantly. Did you buy a MacBook? She hesitated. Oh, that was for Marissa. She needed it for work. Then, as if that wasn't enough, she added. And the retreat. She was having a tough time. She was crying every night. Honestly, she needed it. With my money. I didn't even speak. Just silence. Then, softly, she said, you make more than all of us combined. It's not like you can't afford it. I hung up. Not in anger. Not even in sadness. Just done. For days, I didn't know what to do. Confront them? Cut them off? Burn it all down? And then I remembered what Marissa said last Thanksgiving. Loud, proud, wine drunk in front of the whole table. We all play our roles. Mine is being fabulous. Yours is paying for the turkey. Everyone laughed. I didn't, but I smiled anyway. I smiled, swallowed the humiliation, and carved that turkey like a good son. But now I couldn't even look at a turkey without wanting to scream. They wanted light. I gave them darkness. Easter was supposed to be the one day, just one day, where we all pretended to be a family again. Smiles for the kids. Clinking glasses. Stories about better days that never really existed. I cleared my schedule. Booked time off. Bought chocolate for the kids. Wine for the table. Even made Sunday brunch reservations, just in case we decided to do something normal, something peaceful. Then, a week before Easter, I got a text from Mom. Hey, sweetheart, could you make sure the utility payments are squared away before the weekend? Marissa's hosting the egg hunt at the house. Not a thank you. Not a question. A command wrapped in fake sweetness. Like always. I didn't answer, but I paid the bill anyway. $385 for electricity, water, and internet. For what? So Marissa could play hostess in a house wired with my name on every bill? Not even a thank you. Not even a nod. And then Easter morning came. I showed up, trying to be better than I felt, bottle of wine in one hand, a basket of chocolates in the other, wearing that light blue shirt they used to love. The door opened. You're not welcome, Mom whispered. Behind her, Marissa made sure her voice carried through the walls, sugar-coated venom dripping from every word. Honestly, it just feels better without the moodiness. Let's keep it light this year. They wanted light? Fine. I gave them darkness. No electricity. No water. No Wi-Fi. No online orders. No streaming. No hiding. I walked back to my car and waited. Waited for reality to hit. The porch light flickered off first. Then the sprinklers died. Then silence. Real silence. 5 minutes later, Marissa flew through the front door, eyes blazing, her phone raised like a sword. What did you do? She screamed. I rolled down the window, just an inch. Enjoy your Easter, I said calmly. The way you wanted. Without me. Then I drove off. And for the first time, I felt at power. Not over them. Over myself. But the quiet didn't last. My phone started vibrating nonstop before I even made it home. Mom. Then Dad. Then Marissa. Again. And again. Like their world was crumbling and I was the missing pillar. I didn't answer any of them. Until one message popped up from Dad that made me laugh out loud. You being dramatic. Come back and fix this. Fix this? Fix what exactly? Their house. Their internet. Their carefully constructed illusion of a functional family? No thanks. 2 hours later, they were at my apartment, banging on the door like it was some kind of emergency. I didn't answer. Then I heard shouting through the hallway. You're seriously going to ignore your own mother on Easter? Open the door right now, or we're calling the police. Marissa shrieked. This is abuse, she screamed. Abuse. For not paying her bills. I opened the door just as she raised her fist to bang again. She stumbled forward, caught off guard. Get in, I said flatly. But if any of you raise your voice, I'll be the one calling the cops. They walked in like a storm. Mom crying. Dad pacing. Marissa in full meltdown. You think this is funny? She yelled. We had guests. Children. You know how hard it is to explain to a 5-year-old why the toilet won't flush. I sat on the couch, perfectly calm. Yeah, I said. You tell them that their aunt and uncle expect me to keep the lights on while they mock me behind my back. Boom. Silence. Mom gasped. Marissa's eyes widened. Dad clenched his fists like he had something to say, but nothing came. The room had never been so quiet. You think this makes you powerful? How dare you speak to your family like that? My mom snapped, wiping her tears with the sleeve of her cardigan like she was the one who'd been wronged. I raised an eyebrow. Family? I repeated, voice low. You mean the same family who told me not to come today because I ruined the vibe? The same family who laughed about how I was good for something? The same people who spent my money and called me bitter behind my back? Dad stepped forward, fists tight at his sides. You're overreacting. No, I said, holding his gaze. I'm not reacting at all anymore. I'm done reacting. Now I'm acting. Finally. Marissa crossed her arms, jaw tight, eyes rolling like it was all some melodramatic play she was too cool for. You think this makes you powerful? Cutting off the lights to prove a point? I looked her dead in the face. No, this doesn't make me powerful. It makes me free. She scoffed. You've always had a martyr complex. You want applause for paying a few bills. What? Do you want a trophy? A parade? You mean the $9,800 I spent last year? I snapped, voice rising now. The money that kept your house warm in winter. The money that paid for your Zoom therapy, your new iPhone, and your little business trip to Paris that was actually a spa week in Palm Springs. Her face went pale, like I'd slapped her with facts. You went through my stuff? She hissed. You used my credit card for that trip. I get the statements, genius. I leaned back in my chair, arms folded. Everything you bought, every charge, every lie, it's all there in black and white. Dad tried to jump in, scrambling for damage control. Okay, look, we've clearly made some mistakes, I cut him off, standing now. You told me to my face that I didn't have a future the way Marissa did, that she deserved the help more. You said I was just a paycheck. I remember your words better than you do, apparently. He looked away. Mom stepped closer, her voice shaking. Please, sweetheart, we're still family. We can work through this. Can't we just go back? Can't we undo it? No, I said cold and clear. Because you didn't just shut me out this Easter. You've been shutting me out for years. You were fine taking everything I had, as long as I stayed quiet. But the moment I said no, I became the villain. Marissa was shaking now. Her rage had melted into something colder, calculated, simmering. You'll regret this, she said through clenched teeth. You think cutting us off will make you happy? You'll end up alone. Good, I said. Alone is better than being surrounded by people who smile to your face and spit your name the second you leave the room. The room was soaked in silence. A silence so heavy it pressed down on everyone. Even the air felt thicker. Then I stood up and spoke, calmly, like I'd rehearsed this 1,000 times in my head. Here's what's going to happen, I said, looking at each of them. You'll find another way to pay the bills. You'll transfer the car lease out of my name within 30 days. You'll stop using my Netflix, my Spotify, my Amazon Prime. If you don't, I'll shut it all down. Permanently. Dad opened his mouth. Try me, I said flat. And Mom, I turned to her. If you ever try to guilt me again with our son, just remember, sons deserve love, not invoices. Her tears turned quiet. Dad looked at the floor. Marissa stormed out without another word, slamming the door behind her so hard a framed photo tilted on the wall. I didn't fix it. I didn't chase after her. For once, I didn't try to patch up the broken pieces. I locked the door behind them, and I breathed. The war was over, and I had finally won. The beautiful sound of nothing, the silence that followed, unreal. No calls, no texts, no guilt-tripped voice notes or dramatic ultimatums. It was like they all vanished at once, like I'd been erased from the group chat of my own bloodline. And it felt incredible. For the first time in years, I woke up without that low, heavy pressure in my chest, the one that used to whisper, "What will they need from you today?" No more logging into my bank app before brushing my teeth, checking if I had enough to save someone from a crisis they created. No more fake group messages where they send each other memes while leaving my texts on read. No more buying Christmas gifts for 10 people and getting socks in return. I was free. And the quiet? The quiet was beautiful. I started sleeping deeper, like my body finally believed it was safe. I started eating better, not just shoving down cereal at midnight while budgeting my generosity, but meals, real ones, cooked by me, for me. I even bought a secondhand guitar from a pawn shop on 5th Street. Started watching YouTube tutorials, learning basic chords. My fingers hurt like hell at first, but every note sounded like freedom. I reconnected with old college friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Signed up for a photography class at the local community center just because I'd always wanted to. Suddenly, every dollar I earned went to me. My rent, my groceries, my sanity, my life. At first, it felt selfish. Then it felt justified. Then it felt right. A week later, Marissa posted one of her signature Instagram stories. passive-aggressive poetry, white text over a black background. Some people leave when you need them most. But God sees everything. Karma's real. I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it for the laughs. A few days after that, Dad called. I let it ring 5 times. Then voicemail. Hey, your mom's upset. Marissa's talking about selling her car. I don't know why you're doing this, but it's gone too far. We're family. Call us. I didn't call. Instead, I emailed Marissa. Subject line, you're welcome body. Attached, car lease transfer forms. Deadline, 14 days. No emojis. No hope you're well. Just business. Then something unexpected happened. Kelly, my cousin's wife, messaged me. Someone who had been at Easter. Someone who saw it all unfold from the sidelines while clutching her mimosa and staying quiet. Late one night, she reached out. I know this might sound strange, but thank you. I've never seen anyone in this family stand up for themselves like that. It made me realize how they treat people, how they treat you. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope you're doing okay. I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't know what to say. Someone saw it. Someone finally saw me. I replied, I'm more than okay. For the first time in a long time. And it was true. But of course, peace doesn't last forever. Not in this family. 2 weeks later, I came home to find a letter taped to my door. No return address. No stamps. Inside, a handwritten note from my mom. First line, we raised you better than this. Last line, you'll always be our son, even if you've forgotten what that means. I folded the paper in half, tossed it in the trash without ceremony, and went out for tacos. Because here's the truth they'll never understand. I didn't forget what family means. They never knew. To them, love was control. Money was obedience. Silence was loyalty. Sacrifice was a given. But me? I finally knew better. Now, when I walk into my apartment, it's quiet. Not because I'm unwanted, but because I want the quiet. I light a candle, put on music, sit by the window and breathe. No one's waiting for me to bail them out. No one's asking for $200 just until Friday. No one's blaming me for ruining a party I paid for. For once, I'm not a backup plan in someone else's life. I'm the main character in my own. Peace isn't given. It's reclaimed. The world didn't end the day I told them I was done. The sky didn't crack open. No dramatic thunder. No lightning bolt of regret. Just silence and freedom. And for someone like me, someone who had spent his entire adult life trapped in the role of the good son, that silence wasn't emptiness. It was peace. It was space. The kind of space where your own voice comes back after being drowned out for so long by everyone else's noise. For years, I couldn't hear my own thoughts. I'd wake up already doing mental math. Who needs money today? What's the emergency this time? Mom needing $300 for a temporary gas bill. Marissa's account frozen again the day before a concert she couldn't miss. Dad's credit score about to tank if I didn't swoop in and pay off his overdue card. Every time I said yes, I shrank. They didn't ask. They expected. They didn't thank me. They joked about me. They didn't see me. They used me. And I let them. Because I thought love was supposed to feel heavy. I thought being needed was the same as being wanted. But it's not. Being used is not love. And it took one slammed door and a disconnected power line to finally teach me that. After Easter, the messages stopped. For real this time. No more guilt bombs tied up with "we're just worried about you" bows. No more Marissa demanding explanations like I was her personal accountant. It was like I ghosted the whole family. And I'll be honest, being the ghost gave me the clearest view of my life I'd ever had. I started asking questions I had never been allowed to ask before. What do I want? Who am I without them? What happens if I stop being their lifeline? The answers? Breath, stillness, joy. I learned to cook, not just for survival, but for pleasure. Real meals, spices, sizzle, laughter, my own burned pancakes. I started attending Saturday night jam sessions with local musicians. Brought my guitar, messed up the chords, laughed with strangers who didn't want anything from me but rhythm. I started writing again. Short stories, poetry, even this. Turns out, there's a whole person under all that guilt. Someone creative, kind, not just dependable, but alive. Then one night, while browsing in a bookstore I'd never had time to visit before, I ran into someone from college. Rachel. She looked lighter, brighter than I remembered. We grabbed coffee, caught up, talked about the years between then and now. At one point, she leaned in and asked gently, "Are you still close with your family?" And for the first time, I said it out loud. No fear, no flinch. No, I cut them off. She paused, then smiled. Good. I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that doesn't come with guilt attached. Most people look at me like I confessed to arson. I said. She shrugged. Most people don't know what it's like to be the family doormat. We talk for hours. About boundaries. About healing. About choosing yourself. Without needing to apologize for it. That night, walking home under a quiet sky, I realized something. I wasn't broken anymore. I was rebuilding. Not patched up with their approval. Not waiting for their applause. Just building my life. My way. Without them. And it was okay. Actually, it was better than okay. Weeks turned into months. And with every passing day, I noticed the little things that meant everything. I no longer jumped when my phone buzzed. I no longer refreshed my bank app in fear. I no longer checked Marissa's Instagram, waiting for the next jab wrapped in a prayer emoji. One afternoon, I caught myself laughing, actually laughing, at a meme a friend sent me. A dumb, silly inside joke. But something about it made me realize just how different my life had become. There was no drama, no fire to put out, no weight dragging me down. And in that moment, it hit me like sunlight through a dirty window. I'm happy. Not because something magical had happened, but because for the first time in forever, nothing was draining me. I wasn't a crutch. I wasn't a walking ATM. I wasn't the family safety net stitched out of guilt and obligation. I was just me. Then the final twist came. A voicemail from Mom. Her voice was soft, too soft, like she was speaking through a storm she didn't know how to weather. I hope you're okay. Marissa's been going through a hard time, and the house doesn't feel the same without you. I know you're angry. I know we messed up, but you're still our son. We love you. I miss you. I listened to it twice. Then I put my phone down and stared out the window, watching people walk by, unaware that the world had just given me a moment I'd been dreading and waiting for. But you know what I felt? Not sadness, not hope, not guilt. I felt done. And it wasn't cold. It wasn't bitter. It was warm, like standing in the sun after years of living in someone else's shadow. Because here's what they'll never understand. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. Setting boundaries doesn't make you heartless. And walking away from people who bleed you dry, even if they're family, isn't betrayal. It's survival. Maybe now, my name is a curse word at their dinner table. Maybe they've rewritten the story with me as the villain, the ungrateful one, the dramatic one, the selfish one who walked away. Let them. They don't exist in my life anymore. And this life, it's finally mine. So if you're reading this, and you're the one who always gives, always forgives, always picks up the check, always makes the peace while they tear you apart behind your back, let me be your proof. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose you. And if the day ever comes when they tell you you're not welcome, don't crumble. Don't beg. Smile. Stand tall. And say, good. I didn't come to be welcomed. I came to stop bleeding. Then walk out that door, your door, and don't look back. Because peace isn't something they'll ever hand to you. It's the place you reclaim when you finally say enough. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.